Thanks everybody for coming back down. Appreciate it. Thanks for your interest in this. I am here on behalf of council. I'm one of the child care at Atonement task team members. Okay, how's that? All right. So I am one of the members of the task team for child care at Atonement, and I'm here on behalf of council to give you some information, an update, if you want to call it that, or an understanding maybe, and at least something to generate some questions, some issues and concerns that you may have about this topic of child care at Atonement. I have some prepared materials here for you to kind of update you as to where we're, what state we're at right now and how far we've gotten to this point, and to give you an understanding of what got us that far, and then we can. At the end, we will be happy to entertain any questions that you might have, or at least write them down. We may not be able to answer them today. We may have to come back and next, because there is another meeting next week of a similar nature, and hopefully next week we can, if we don't have the answers today, we can get them to you next week. So this is, again, the title slide is Child Care at Atonement Lutheran Church, a partnership with Christ Community Lutheran Church. Okay, could you get me the next slide, Darren? All right, so hopefully you can read this up there. The purpose of this is really to partner with Christ Community Lutheran Church to provide affordable, sustainable child care services at Atonement Lutheran Church. Okay, as most of you are aware, Christ Community does have a functioning in a very long term approach to child care at their facility, and as we started thinking about, maybe we could start doing something around child care at this facility, and utilize some of the space that we had and provide a need that is out there in the community. We thought immediately about maybe partnering with Christ Community. So we've had some discussions with them, and there are actually a couple of representatives from Christ Community here today, in case there are questions that may involve them. So at any rate, that was the initial discussion, and the idea kind of just bubbled up, and it was discussed at council. And then it was discussed with Christ Community, and at some point a task force was formed. Okay, some background, if you give me the next slide, Darren. Some background of this is that that there is a need in the community for childcare. I think we're all aware of that. It's there. It's very prominent. We could provide child care facilities here at this church, and it is consistent with our mission of service within the community, and it also provides us an opportunity to partner with Christ Community, which I think is something that we would like to do more of. The next slide, please, Darren. So what would this look like? Okay. So the partnership with Christ Community would look something like this. Christ Community would be responsible to provide the staffing, the organization, the client recruitment, the leadership, and the licensing, because it is their program. Okay, is that clear? Atonement would provide the space that would meet the state requirements and ongoing support for the child care program. Okay, so what would a successful program like this look like? It would be one that is sustainable, that grows, and that each party has the ability to have input to decisions for the future of child care services at Atonement. Okay, does that make sense? So far, so good? Okay, Darren, give me the next slide, please. I'm going to start off with a project description here, okay? And this is based on our discussion with Christ Community. This is where they felt the childcare at Atonement should begin, okay? They're recommending that the space at Atonement Lutheran Church for childcare provides services for newborn to 2.5-year-old children. Okay, so the initial phase would be to target 8 children, okay, with growth up to 16 children. All right, so they felt that that would be the best way for us to begin in this program, and it would be in partnering with them, and they were willing to to do that with us. So, Darren, if you could switch over to slide 10 for a minute. Okay. So, our first, this is about when the task team got involved. Okay. And by the way, the task team members, so I just make sure it's not just me. Okay. There's myself, Thomas Pike, Denise Martin, Becky Siegert, and Charlotte Schneider, okay? So we're involved on the task team. We have Brittany Martin, who is the child care director at Christ Community, has been very involved with us. Okay. So Brittany Martin is she's the child care director at Christ Community, and she has been involved with the task team as we started this program and started looking at this. Okay, so the first thing we needed to do was to understand what requirements we needed in our space that would meet the state, state codes for child care facilities. So this is what you see in behind me is a map of our entire church. I'm going to switch over to the microphone here. So we looked with the building inspector, the state building inspector that came to us. We looked at 4 different spaces, okay? 2 of them in the Sunday school wing. We looked at this space right here, which are these 2 classrooms, and incorporating this this aisle. We looked at these 2 classrooms. We looked at this space right here, which is Herbie's Cafe. We also looked at the fellowship hall. One of the major requirements of a child care facility is around fire protection. And there's two things that you can do in order to meet fire protection needs of a child care facility. One is the space is completely sprinklered for fire protection support, okay, which our spaces are not. Okay, none of our spaces are sprinklered. The second is that if the space isn't sprinklered, you have to have immediate egress to the outside from the space that the child care is being provided. In other words, the room that the child care space involves, you have to have immediate egress. You have to have a door immediately to the outside from within that room. Okay? So that's why we looked at those spaces. By the way, the fellowship hall was immediately approved by the building inspector because we do have egress on that right here to the outside. We have egress from the Sunday school wing right there from the outside, to the outside. So we can, with some building modifications, we could modify those spaces for childcare. So the task team met and decided that we were going to pursue this space here, which is, I believe, the 5th and 6th grade classrooms, right? And the 3rd and 4th grade classrooms, I think that's what they are. And also incorporating that aisle right there, right in front of the storage area. So there's some building modifications that have to be done in order to make that happen. In addition, the other requirement for newborns to 2.5-year-olds is you have to have a sink or a wash-up space in the facility, in the room. Okay, and we didn't have that. The only place that we really had access to that was in the fellowship hall. That's why the fellowship hall did have, we were able to get approval from the inspector for that space. Okay? Yes.
So they're going to spend most of their time in that one area.
Yes.
They're going to be going into the fellowship room for lunch or for any of their snacks.
It's because it's newborns to 2.5-year-olds, almost their entire time will be spent in that room. Okay? So the building modifications that we have to make is that for this space is that we have to tear this wall down here, we have to tear that wall down there, we have to extend this wall here up to the storage room and put in a door in that area so that we can, which would be an emergency door, exit door, for the rest of the Sunday school space to get out, to get outside as well, because we still have the rest of the Sunday school space to worry about as well. Okay? No. And the reason for that is you have to, the question was, I'm cutting out here, I think. Do you have to take out this back wall right here? Can't you just put a door in? The answer is no, because that doesn't incorporate that whole space as the room. Okay? So in order to meet the requirements, we have to create a room that includes the exit door. Yes. You have to have access from that wall, from that room out. You have to have access from that side. Okay? Makes sense so far? So far? Okay. So, and again, the other major building modification is that we have to include a sink in that area for wash up. Okay, those are the two major requirements that we were not able to, that we're going to have to change our space for in order to meet the requirements of the state inspector. Yeah. The question was, do you have to have a refrigerator? Yes, you do. Let me go through the remaining costs of the initial startup to get a facility going. Okay. Darren, can you bring me back to slide 5 maybe? Where's that one at? Okay, I think I covered most of this. Yes, so I have covered most of this one. Slide 6. And again, I covered these. These are the building modifications required. Go to the next slide, Darren. The other initial expenses. Go to the next slide. The other initial expenses, we do not have air conditioning in that space. So we thought it would be important to include air conditioning in the space if it's going to be used year round, and if it's going to be used, for childcare. So that's one of the things. The other startup items, we would need cabinets, for storage, for supplies, vanity, changing tables, refrigerator, and we need staff storage and space for the staff that would be there. Okay? So go to the next slide. So these are the startup costs that we put together. We contacted a contractor to get the building modifications and the plumbing estimates. Tom Pike provided the HVAC estimate, and then we kind of pulled numbers out of the air, I think, or something like that for the rest of the startup items. Well, we got something close anyway. So the total startup costs are going to be $28,350. Okay. Now, the space that we looked at, would be certainly sufficient for 8 children to start. The capacity of that space is, I believe, 17 children, but because of the way staffing works, they typically go in multiples of 4, so we would end up, probably the maximum capacity of that space would be 16 children. Okay. The question was, are there additional costs for liability insurance? Okay, yes, there are. Not our costs, but Christ Community costs. Because it's their program, it's their staff, so they are essentially, provide the liability insurance for that piece of it. The building part, we have the building part, and there's no additional insurance costs for our building for that. The question is, will the childcare facility use our playground? Because the age range is newborns to 2.5. We are not planning to have that playground being used currently for the childcare. When it does, then we will have to add a fence around that. Darlene? Is there any thought for security at the doors, is Darlene's question. Yes. We have discussed it, but we have not put anything into our initial cost estimate. Okay? At this point, because the doors are locked, we can, that feature is available, so we can, essentially prevent people from coming in. And the doors that we would use would be the side doors, right there close to the Sunday school. We have not, at this point, we have not looked at putting in any sort of, like a card reader or magnetic door opening or anything like that at this point. But again, good concern, good thoughts, and that may be something we have to add. I don't know. Yes.
One of the ways to kind of conserve costs with the flashing door is we found that most cost-effective is just put a folded key-pin lock on the doors, and each parent is given their own individual code, so we know who's coming in and who's going out, and there will be general codes that anybody from the home can use to do.
Thank you for that. But and I don't know if everybody heard that or not, but at Christ Community, what they do, what they've done to provide security and to and to put it in at a reasonable cost, they put a keypad, and then they've given a code to every parent that is, that has a child there, so they can punch the code in, and the door will open. And that's a less expensive way to do it. Yes. The, what I remember of our discussion, we did discuss it, and the question was, what about things like voting, funerals, things where, the space is going to be used, okay? What I remember of discussing those particular topics was that, if there's going to be conflict, we will just close the childcare for that day with enough advance warning, okay? Well, that's just what that's just what I remember our discussion, okay? And again, that's,
Why would that interfere with down to Sunday school? They're there, they stay there till the funerals and fellowship.
we can certainly, go ahead.
There's state requirements about people coming in and out of the building for childcare that aren't attached to childcare. So if there was a funeral or, voting and things like that, we have to shut down that day. Why?
She said state requirements, require that if there are going to be other activities within the building, that you have to shut down. And again, it's a good concern, and I think Denise is capturing all the questions and things so that we can come back later and talk more about that. Yes? Yes. It's a possibility, yes. There are other, doors in those areas. Yes? Well, again, let us write that down as a concern, okay? I don't think we've talked through all these things yet, that we need to, we probably need to talk through rather than me giving you an answer today, okay? Again, that I'm not aware of anything discussed at council about that. Again, task force, Bob? Yeah. Okay, and that was around the concern, the question was, is there going to be a signed agreement between Christ Community and Atonement? Okay. Yep. No, it's not coming. I'm not going to talk about revenue today. The council preferred that we didn't get that far today. Today, we just wanted to get this far. And we really don't know everything yet. What? We have been looking with the Synod and with some, and other, the Synod has helped, for the initial costs. They have helped steer us towards the potential of some grants available out there. And again, that's something we don't know until we apply. But that's an option. Okay, that we're considering, and that would just be for the initial costs. Yes, Bobby? The question is, are we going to be able to staff, or are we going to be able to secure clients to meet the goal of 8 children or 16 children? I would defer that question to Brittany, in the director. She's pretty much been responsible for, for the the client load over at Christ Community. In talking with her, it didn't seem like there would be any issue with, maintaining at least 8 children in a daycare center here. So for 8 children, okay, let me give you the example for 8 kids, okay? You have to have at least 2 people there at all times. And the question was, how many staff, okay, do you need? So for 8 kids, you have to have 2 people there at all times. And I think Christ Community felt like they would start with 3 part-time people so that to make sure all the hours are covered. And it would be like a 7 to 5, I believe, or something like that time frame that would be covered. 5 days a week. Yes. Marilyn? Yes. Again, if you remember back to the second slide I think I had, and Marilyn's question was, do we pay the staff? Do we pay? No. The program is run through Christ Community. They have the licensing. They secure the staff. They secure the clients. They pay the staff. They're responsible for the liability insurance. Those are the things that and then we provide the space. Okay, the question is, do we need to have additional insurance here at, through atonement for our property and liability insurance? And it's a good question. I think, we can certainly review that. That my initial discussion with our insurance provider said that we did not have to do that, but we can go back and double check that. Anything else that I might be able to answer or not answer? Bobby? I think it would. The question was, do we, the toys, beds, things like that. I mean, anything that we need to make the space workable for for the children in that space. I think we would need to provide that. I think toys can be a partnership between us. There's in my go ahead.
Chris Community Childcare will be providing the beds and things like that. What our thoughts were with toys and stuff, maybe the 2 churches could have a fundraising event together for have a baby shower for the childcare and have a wish list of the things that we need, and then have some kind of community events with both churches that would raise the money for the toys and things like that.
Okay, did everybody hear that? So anyway, the toys and like beds and things like that. Christ Community said that they are providing like the beds and things, or the mats that the children would sleep on for naps. Toys. Their thought was that there would be like a fundraiser between the 2 churches, so that we would generate the toys and things that we would need for that facility. I think it's going to, for the facility here, I don't think we can rely on Christ Community for that. It would need to be us, that provide. Okay, if it's not grants, I don't think council has gotten that far in their discussions. So I can't answer that.
Since we're going to be having, vets and you're going to be doing, towels and stuff like that, can you do the washer and dryer to make sure that everything's getting washed and dried and clean all of that?
I think there's, one of the, it would be, so the question is there a need for like a washer dryer, for anything? Okay, it's a good question. It was discussed, but it really wasn't. I think it was one of those things where, do you have one? If you have one, it's nice. If not, well, we'll manage. Okay, I don't know. It's a good concern, good question. I don't think we haven't fleshed things out quite that far yet. There was another question, Ken. The long-term goal would be to provide revenue that will offset our costs. We are a nonprofit. Okay, so I don't know that we can say that we generate revenue, but it'll offset our costs. Okay, just like it offsets Christ Community costs. And we want to have the ability to maybe set aside some revenue to grow. There may be, so I think there's some things there that, I don't want to seem like I'm dancing around this, okay? But I don't want to say that, that our goal is to make a whole bunch of money either. Our goal here is to really provide daycare services that are really in need in our community, and to partner with Christ Community to do that. That's our first goal. We don't want to lose money, right? So we do want to, and we do want to make enough money so that we offset, some costs that we would incur, plus other costs that that we may incur in the future for something like this. Okay, does that make sense? Well, yeah, but we are a nonprofit, so just, we have to be careful about that.
Just to kind of put a framework on it, even if we started at the beginning, for Christ Community where we didn't have equipment, anything going on, and to the current day, we've never had a year where the books weren't in the black. And that there was money left over to reinvest in the daycare, and that would be, the intention is to have funds available for in the end.
Okay, does that, so the question was how many at 18, right? Go ahead. So we fit a need that they don't provide right now. Yes. Yeah. Why don't you say that?
Sure. Community is a nonprofit as well. So I'm assuming there are ways to come out ahead that will also benefit the congregation. I think is kind of what we're seeing this investment that we need to make, but we also know we're in a tough financial time as well. So I think that's at least. And reinvest them as a nonprofit back into the church that's kosher with tax laws.
Where's Julie? Right, Julie? Something like that. Yep. Bobby? So the question is, what if parents obviously don't have just one child. A lot of times they have two children, and they're different ages. So what happens? Does the parent have to drop off the young child here and then go to maybe Christ Community and drop off the older child? And the answer to that is yes. It and it,
the feeling I'm getting with Christ Community wanting to partner with the difference in ages is I have some friends who utilize that and they don't take the babies. So then those families have nowhere to go, where this would be a complement to each other more so. We wouldn't be competing, but just a continuation of care is what I'm understanding.
Okay, other questions, comments? I think we'll, or one more? The capacity of the space will handle 16. We'd have to increase staff in order to do that. Usually it's in multiples of 4. One teacher can handle 4 children. Yeah, for age group it's one teacher or one adult teacher, whatever you want to call it, and for 4 children. So that's kind of how you break it up. Yeah. This is what I understand of the way the rules are today from Brittany. Okay, is that it runs in multiples of 4. So whatever it was in the past, I can't tell you. I don't know. So but for now, I think what Brittany's telling us is that it runs in multiples of 4. You have to one teacher, 4 children at that age level. That's right. Right. Yeah. There are changes, and and that's why we're having one Christ Community handle the administration, organization, and changes that are. The question is why did we choose the Sunday school area versus the fellowship hall? I think the reason why one of the reasons why we didn't consider the fellowship hall is because that space is used for a lot of different things, and we did not want to hamper the use of that space for other things. We felt it would be better to create this space, for the childcare center, and have it be the separate space, rather, because we would have so many conflicts using the fellowship hall. I think, we didn't want to do that. Yeah, I mean, yes, yep. Okay, Carol, by the way, did everybody hear that discussion that we had there? That was around, why did we choose fellowship hall, or the Sunday school space versus the fellowship hall? Mary, I mean, it's been so long ago. Sorry about that.
Oh, lunch. The children, the participants in daycare bring their own lunch bag or lunch boxes, and there's no preparation except for snacks, and then really just have to be in the refrigerator that will be in that area.
Okay, so no, we don't, the snacks and lunches,
We provide breakfast,
okay,
but with up to like 1-year-old, there's not a lot of breakfast.
right, right, yes. The bathroom facilities, for the staff would be across the hall. Yes, yeah, that's true, yeah. So it would be across the hall. Other questions? Good question, good concern. At this point, we have not included anything to do anything different with the flooring in the area. We need to make sure there's space available for that kind of thing, for the jackets and clothes, things like that. Yes? We're gonna answer that question. I can't answer it right now. I think we need to answer that question. Anything else? Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for your concerns. God bless you. See ya. Have a good day.